think we are good. Thank God no one was here to hear that part. Let's see. For those of you who are watching this post the end of the live stream, I'm just waiting until someone pops up. Hey, we have a person. Woo! Thank you, person. Cool. Yeah. So that was really loud. Sorry. If you've seen the menu, you understand that that was just the worst. I said we have a person, and the person left. That's really funny. It doesn't matter. We'll get people. Anyway, so we are going to start with the live stream as soon as a couple people hop on. I know I was a little late. I was going to see Lights with my family. We were driving around a bunch and seeing everything that they have. While we're waiting for people to come on, I'm just going to talk about this a second. We have 4 awards for our light looking experience. One of them is the half-hearted, which the one of them is less is more. Also self-explanatory. One of them is mixer, which kind of is, like the white, the bluish white lights and the yellow white lights are just like white and colors that don't. And then double take, which is like either it's not great, actually it's pretty good, or no. So that's what we were doing. So that's why I was a little bit late in starting this, but it is all good. Yeah, I think next year I'm gonna not do this on New Year's Eve weekend. I will do it the week before. The problem is that there's just so many freaking movies that come out right at the end of the year. We had so many of them, and I wanted to see all of them, but it doesn't matter. Here we go. All right. So we are going to start talking. Basically, tonight, what I want to do is just talk about all the movies that I actually saw this year but didn't get to review. And I'm going to talk about a bunch of that kind of stuff later when it comes to the future of the channel. But tonight, I have a bunch that I'm going to talk about, plus channel updates for next year. Plus, if you guys have any questions you want to ask or just any fun inquiries about me as a person, I know I'm the most interesting. I've really gotten used to editing, being able to edit out my stupidity. It's been a minute since I've done one of these. All right, you know what? Let's go. All right, so I'm going to group these. What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to do a couple, then talk about some channel updates, then do a couple more. We'll see. But I'm definitely going to be grouping them in different categories. So you guys have already seen hopefully all the videos that I've put out with reviews for all the ones that I've seen this year. And I think that was like maybe a good half of them. There are still a bunch that I need to see, and I'm going to be doing my official top 10 in January. I will be doing that once I've seen a couple more. But for what I have right now, I think I have reviews for about half to maybe 2/3 on the channel, and then there's still a bunch more that I want to talk about here. So I'm going to bring them up here. All right, so the first grouping, I'm just going to start out with like fun ones, some nice, cool, fun ones. Last night, I wish I could do a review on this one, like a full one, but there's just not enough time today. Last night I saw Marcel. I can't even say it. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I adored this movie, guys. It's one of those that it's like it's almost. There's no way to not like it. All right. Objectively, if we're talking factually, I guess I can understand where people might find it a little annoying, or like it doesn't really have a story, whatever. Especially if you're not a huge A24 fan, whatever. But here's the most important part. Okay. It's about a shell with shoes who moves things that are very small. That's all you need to know. One of my best friends actually showed me some of these videos when it was just first starting. All these fun Marcel the Shell videos on YouTube, and I loved it. I had almost kind of forgotten about it till this movie came out. But I absolutely loved this. And yes, I can understand how people might not, whatever. But I thought it was amazing because it was just somebody described it. A lot of people have actually described it as like a movie that hugs you, and that's pretty accurate. It really is. It's just so wholesome. I actually don't know what the rate. You know what? I'm gonna look at what the rating is on it. I can't really remember. I think I want to say it's gotta be G. All right, maybe PG. No, okay, but still, I don't remember the last time I saw an A24 movie that was PG. But it's awesome. Marcel is so funny. He's so small and sassy and hilarious, but so wholesome and loving and caring. And it's weird that I'm saying this about a shell, but God, I love it. But it's so great because it basically follows, if you've seen the trailer, him trying to find his family, and he uses, I think it's but well, basically YouTube, the guy who's filming him, and then also 60 Minutes of all things, to try to find his family. But we just kind of see him around the house, and all the stuff that he does, and his little like ice skating rink, which is just like a table of dust. His dog, which is Lint on a string, which that was actually one of the original videos, if I remember correctly. A lot of this might have already been, I can't remember, but it was awesome. It was so funny. It was so emotional. There was a lot of genuine emotion in this movie. It's really short. It's only like an hour and 20 minutes, but I wanted more, to be honest with you. Honestly, my only real, I don't even think I have a critique, but just thing that I wanted to see more was one, him going outside more. Like there was one part where he kind of like goes out and into this car and with the guy, he's not driving the car, out with the guy who's filming him, and he sees a little bit of the outside world. And I thought that's what we were going to get more of, like a Marcel adventure. But then, the more I thought about it, I was like, this is like a middle element because there's no way he would have survived that. So he did not do that a whole lot. He barely survived the car ride. So no, I'm emotionally. But then the other thing was that, obviously not spoiling anything, but there's this thing that happens at the end. It's a bigger thing, but it just seems like it happens kind of fast. There's like a goal, he's trying to get to, and it seems like it just sort of happens really quickly. Then again, it's like just a movie about the simple things, like it's a movie that doesn't take things way too seriously. It's not super dramatic. It just kind of is just life, and some of it's sad, some of it's funny, some of it's comforting, a lot of it's adorable. The Eagles have a song in it. Of course, Marcel sings it. Peaceful, Easy Feelings. My brother's watching. You better be watching. And yeah, so I really, really liked this movie. I hope a lot more people watch it, and I'm really excited that it's actually being nominated as animated, like at best picture animated, because it basically is. It's like half live action, but it's also half claymation, basically. And I didn't know this till I did a podcast with Andrew Corpin on Shine Like Stars reviews earlier today, which will be coming out after the new year. But he said that there actually had to be two directors, one for live action stuff, and then one for claymation, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this was a really great movie. I would highly recommend it. I feel like there was something else I was going to say about it. If I think of it, I'll come back to it. But definitely loved. Would recommend. It's just, as long as you're like emotionally prepared, it is wonderful. That's what I was going to say. Is it's one of those movies that if you are a writer and you're that, or like a musician, and you're that kind of person that just like goes out into nature and just like record yourself singing a song, I'm totally completely describing one of my best friends, the one who showed me Marcel the Shell YouTube videos. But if you're that kind of person who, like, as a writer, and you either do these kind of videos or you watch these kind of videos on YouTube that are about people just like hanging out doing like a write with me session, and they have the candles in their room and it's just like super nice and wholesome, you're gonna like this movie. It's exactly for you. It just has that vibe to it. So that's Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I absolutely loved that one, and it will probably make my top 10. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so for the other two, these are actually sort of similar, and I'm gonna start with The Lost City. I liked this movie way more than I thought I was going to. I thought it looked, it looked like that just kind of regular, dumb movie. Okay, it's got Channing Tatum and it's funny and stupid jokes, whatever. But no, actually, it was funny and it was good. Sandra Bullock was great. Channing Tatum was surprised. I've seen him in a couple things, and he's either just like being, Channing Tatum, or he's like really like brooding, like in Foxcatcher. It was really nice. It was cool to see him in a role where he was like funny. Um, and originally, it was actually supposed to be Ryan Reynolds, which just makes a lot of sense. But then it went to Channing Tatum when I think Ryan couldn't do it. I'm saying that like I know him, like I know his schedule. But when he couldn't do it, it went to Channing Tatum, and I'm really glad it did because Channing Tatum was awesome in this role. It almost seemed like it was perfect for him. I don't know why it was originally going to be Ryan Reynolds, but it was great. I really liked their chemistry. I also very, very much like Daniel Radcliffe. I I think he's found his thing is being like quirky, funny, sometimes a villain, but not like a super scary villain. One of those like relate to me villains, but I'm still gonna do bad things. He was great. I would never have expected him to be a comedic actor, but he's way better at that than at dramatic acting. Not that he wasn't bad, he was good. He was fine in Harry Potter. Obviously, he was also still growing up, so he had to learn all of that. But yeah, he's definitely really found a niche, um, his little place in acting with this and the Weird Al movie and Swiss Army Man and Now You See Me Too, all these kinds. I think he's gotten a really good thing going here, and I hope he does more of these roles. Um, but yeah, it was really funny. A lot of the jokes were genuinely, I laughed a lot. The story, from what I remember, I saw this back in like March, but the story from what I remember was also very good. It was just this cool adventure, kind of treasure hunt sort of thing, and I really like that. And it's also about a writer, so I appreciated that, and her books and all. But yeah, and the other thing that was really fun about this was that Brad Pitt is in it for a bit, right? And then in Bullet Train, that came out in August, Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum also cameo in that for like a split second each. And I just can't help but think that that's not a coincidence. Like that has to be like a real thing, right? Right? Because I don't know if maybe they were shooting around the same time or whatever, but that can't be a coincidence that it was just the three of them and the two cameo into the one and the one came into the other. That was kind of funny. So if you saw Lost City, you might have picked up on that if you watched Bullet Train. So I really like The Lost City. I think it's definitely one of the most underrated ones from the year because it looked like it was going to be a stupid comedy, but it had some of those moments, but it was overall pretty funny. The other one that's kind of like this that I think I saw directly after that was Uncharted. I haven't played the game. I'm not really a gamer. I haven't played a lot of games. The games that I have played, okay, are Guitar Hero, Harry Potter 5 and 6, Raving Rabbids, and Thrillville. I have played a little bit of other things, but I do not own them. Lego Harry Potter. Yeah, I played a bunch of other stuff. I played Skyrim once, and I thought it was really funny when I would kill the chicken, and then I could have killed a person. No one would have cared. As soon as you kill the chicken, everyone starts to attack you, and I think that's just the funniest thing I've ever seen. So I spent about an hour doing that. But anyway, so I'm not a huge gamer. So I had never played this game. From what I heard, everybody was like, "Yeah, it was pretty accurate. It was fine. The movie was okay." And I liked it. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. I saw Game Night and then Date Night back to back, and this for me was kind of the same thing where I saw The Lost City and then I saw Uncharted, and I felt like they were just about the same movie. I liked one of them better. I liked Lost City a little bit better, but Uncharted was also very fun. Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland. I was actually talking about this with Andrew once again on the podcast, but I did like their dynamic. But he said that basically it was Tom Holland playing Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg playing Mark Wahlberg, and I think that was pretty true. But it didn't make it any less fun. And it's also again just a really good adventure story. I liked it. There was a lot of really cool clues. Like if you like National Treasure, Pirates of the Caribbean, all that stuff, you're gonna like this. There's a lot of really cool clues and stuff in there. And there, there's some good character development and everything too. But both of these I just liked because they were just simple, fun adventure stories. Not everything has to be super serious, but they can still be good movies. And there was like something at the end that I was like, that's really, really cool. I've never seen anything really like that. So yeah, I really liked both of these. I just wanted to mention those specifically because all year I kept thinking, I got to talk about these, specifically the Lost City, because I think a lot of people talked about Uncharted, but not as many about the other one. And I wanted to mention those because they were pretty good. They were fun. Check them out. So those are the first three in the grouping. And you know what? I think unless you guys have questions or comments on anything that I'll talk about as we go along, I think I'm just gonna keep rolling along with the movie reviews, because then I can just do all the channel updates later. Because honestly, it's not like I have like a couple things. It's more so, or a lot of things. It's more so just like a couple, and they're sort of related. So I'll do those a little bit later. Right now, I'm just gonna keep going on the movie reviews. So let's get into the next section, which is another three that I'll probably be doing some actual reviews on in January. I guess that's going to be one small channel update, is that for January, really not much is coming out that I'm interested in seeing. So I'm going to take it to do some catch up. There's a couple movies that I just got to see that I do, and I've been wanting to see, that I wasn't going to have time to do a review on by the end of the year. So I'm going to play some catch up, do those in January, as well as my top anticipated, and then my final end of the year list for 2022, once I've seen those and a couple other ones, which I'll mention in a bit. But yeah, I'm going to talk about them briefly, but because I might be doing the reviews on them, I might not say a ton. The first one I'll talk about is Top Gun Maverick. I had heard that this was incredibly good. And I was like, I guess. Not after seeing it, but like beforehand, I was like, I guess. I mean, it was in the movie theaters for like 5-6 months, which is insane. That's like Marvel, which is also insane. But this was Avatar cheese. I mean, probably, but Top Gun Maverick, and I was surprised hearing that, because I thought, there's no way, it has to be that good. Then I saw the original Top Gun this year, actually, in preparation for it, and I really, really liked it. I'm not one to be very interested in like action movies that are like just about like military stuff or planes or war or I'm not a huge, just like all the guns and stuff. It depends on the movie. There has to be really cool aesthetic, but like if it's a bunch of military stuff, it really depends on the movie. I'm not, always gonna go watch it. But I did like Top Gun because it had a lot of great characters, a lot of great emotion. And so I was like, all right, well, you know what? Now I'm excited for the sequel. Guys, I watched this and I would watch a third. I would watch a third. They shouldn't make a third, but I can't believe how much I actually really liked this movie. I think I actually liked it better than the original. I think I did. Because I don't know, I liked the plot, of him having to teach these people, and them kind of, it's the classic, they don't like him at first, or they don't take him seriously, and then they bond, and then, suddenly now it's whoever's like his boss is like, you shouldn't be doing this, and the students are like, we're gonna do it anyway. It's very Dead Poet Society, Summer School, if you've seen that. Yeah, I really liked that. I liked the mission that they had to do as well, and how they were amping it up, how they were kind of every time they came back to the classroom, it was like less time to have to do it, less ground or air in between you and the ground. I just thought all of that was really, really cool, and obviously all of the bonding and stuff that they did as well. And Tom Cruise, Tom Cruise is one of those people that every time he's in a movie, I'm like, it's another Tom Cruise movie, and it's like, all right, it's probably gonna be fine. It's I don't love him all the time, and then I'll see the movie and be like, damn it, if he wasn't really good in that. It's annoying. So yeah, Top Gun Maverick. I don't think I need to say much about it because you've probably already seen it. And if you haven't, you've probably seen that it was out for 5 months and got like $1 billion. And there is a reason. It was really, really good. Had a lot of emotion. Miles Teller is usually hit or miss with me, but man, he was good. He's like, sometimes he'll do stupid movies, and then sometimes he'll do Whiplash and Top Gun Maverick. And I'm like, dude. So I really liked him in this as well. There was a good amount of people, and even Jennifer Connelly, she was really good. I haven't seen her in a ton of stuff outside of like Labyrinth. But I really did like her in this as well. There's this one moment when it was really smooth. He brings her home. She goes inside and leaves the door open. And it's like, oh man. And if that was me, I would have been like, you forgot to close this. Just kidding. That was stupid. I said that to my brother, and he was like, man, I swear. So yeah, Top Gun Maverick was very good. Highly recommend. Also, yes, they were able to put Val Kilmer in there a bit, and it was very touching. It was really nice. I very much enjoyed those scenes. Let's see. Yeah, so that's Top Gun. The next one I'm going to talk about is Glass Onion, because I don't know if I'm going to get to actually do a review on this. I like very, very much want to, because I did. Knives Out was like what, my first or second review, which was rough compared to now. But it, so now I want to do the sequel all these years later. But I still have two others that I want to do. So we'll see. I'll probably do it at some point, especially like the third. There's going to be a third one, so I'll probably do it then. But Glass Onion. When I saw the poster for it, I wasn't sure, because it takes place in the summer, and I was like, we had like Death on the Nile this year, which I did do a review on, and both of these, their first one takes place in either the winter or the fall, and I love both those aesthetics, especially for a mystery. Like Knives Out was very Clue-like, but then you get Glass Onion, which is in the summer, kind of like Death on the Nile was also in the summer, and it's also great setting. Both of them, they have like boats. Actually, this one reminded me a lot of Glass Onion, and I mean of Death on the Nile in a lot of ways. But they're both, like summery. They got some boats and boat houses, summer houses, and everything like that. But I just always like the fall winter aesthetic a little better. So when I saw that, I was like, this looks like it might be like okay. Let's see if they can do Knives Out a second time, because honestly, Knives Out was one of my favorite movies of the decade last year. You know what I mean. So it was one of my favorite movies of last decade. And I absolutely love it. We could watch it. My family and I would watch it every day. So Glass Onion, I was like, let's see if they can, do this a second time and do it really well. And I got to say, I think they did. A lot of people say that they like it better than the first. I don't think I do. And again, it might just be a personal thing. It doesn't really have anything to do with the movie itself. And really, any critique I have with this was a critique I had with Knives Out as well. But let's start with good stuff. Daniel Craig, amazing once again. I love him. Seeing him play James Bond and playing like this really hardened guy, even if he has some humor, and then seeing him play Benoit Blanc, it's very different, very funny. Kind of like Channing Tatum in Lost City. I just like seeing them in this different, funnier, lighthearted role, seeing a different side of them. So he was awesome, very fun. One thing I didn't love is just that he's more of the main character this time. It kind of gets passed on to somebody else a little bit later. But like in the first one, you had Marta, who's the emotional connection. And then you have Blanc come in, and he's like that cool detective that comes in that we can also connect with a bit, but he's not the main character, if that makes sense. He's the one we're looking at. In this one, he's the main character. So it was cool to see like a more of a backstory and more of a personal side to him. But I like him better when he's more of the person we're looking at rather than the person that we're with. Then again, it was kind of cool just because there's just like a whole bunch of new people, and he's the only one that we do know from the first. So, I can see it going both ways. But yeah, I did like that it was also pushed on, like the main character role was pushed onto somebody else a little bit later, which goes along with another point, which is just that it was cool the pacing they had and how they kind of cut things and how different subplots were paced. It was cool because you get some stuff, then you get some other. I was gonna say some other stuff. I don't want to give anything away, so I want to be really vague. But there's basically like 3 different acts, I'll say, and so I really like that. And I honestly, all the characters are great once again. I couldn't believe it because when I saw the cast list, I thought, this might not be as good as the cast from Knives Out, but they were great. Edward Norton was awesome. Dave Bautista was awesome. Catherine Hahn, super funny. Kate Hudson was great. They did a good job. The one thing I didn't love, two things. One, they address COVID in the beginning of this movie, and I did not expect them to do that. It just has really, I don't know, unless you're shooting during COVID, which they probably were. I don't know. It feels like it's weird to have done that because now you're dating your movie. Any movies that do that from now on, like The Menu did that, and this has done it. It feels like you're just dating your movie now. And while it's like, ooh, it's like a part of history now, it also feels like it had nothing to do. Like once they get to the island, like that whole thing is resolved. There's no more COVID, and so it just felt a little weird. I don't know. Maybe it was something that it had to do, so that's fine. But it just felt a little out of place. Um, Another thing I really liked was just the mystery itself. There was a lot of new clues. Obviously there was a lot of new like motifs and objects and stuff. Different ways that they turned it on its head. Because like in the first one, we kind of see a different side of how a mystery would go, with Marta like being the one to, accidentally kill Harlan. She thinks, at least. And so we're like, well, how is there going to be a mystery here if we already know what happened? In this one, we sort of get the same thing. I mean, not the same thing, but where it's like we're on the other side of part of this mystery that you don't normally see. So that was pretty cool too. Rian Johnson's super inventive when it comes to these, and yeah, I don't know if he can just keep pulling them out, but if he can, great, because it's just cool. It just really keeps you guessing. My only other gripe is really what I have with Knives Out, also, which I'm not gonna be super specific about it, but just in terms of who the person or people, whatever it is, ends up being. Because like in Knives Out, there was you thought it was one person, and it might have been another person. So whoever it ends up being always seems a little not predictable, but you're not shocked, if that makes sense. I'm really not gonna go more into that because I do not want to spoil anything, obviously. But I'm just both times it's like been like cool, not super shocked, but cool. Yeah, I don't know. Just in case I do a real review, I don't know. I probably won't, because these are most of my thoughts. But just in case, I won't say much else. But I really did like it. It was just as clever. It goes a little bit bigger than the first for sure. And it is just as clever, just as fun. The characters are just as funny, but also as terrible as most of them in the first one. It follows sort of the same pattern, character wise and everything, but it has a lot of differences as well. I think between this and Death on the Nile, this one definitely did a lot better. Although I did like Death on the Nile, but this one does. I think things a lot bigger, a lot more, cleverly, and yeah, it's funny too because both of those, the murder doesn't happen until like an hour in. It's really weird. They just kind of, how sometimes you get those movies where it's like they come out a year apart or within the same year and they're basically the same movie. Like they had like the two about Winston Churchill, like a couple years ago. It's just funny how that works out. So the last one I want to talk about in this grouping is one that I just saw like 2-3 days ago, and it is absolutely everything I was hoping for and not everything I was hoping for. And that is Babylon. Now, this I am actually going to do a review on, so I'm not going to talk about it a lot. I was going to try to squeeze this and Glass Onion into the same one, but I have a lot to talk about with Babylon. Maybe I'll stick to that. I don't know. Maybe I'll just make it a longer video. But Babylon is wild. It is nuts. I had forgotten that the first 30 minutes of this movie, I had seen something that where Damien Chazelle said it's going to be like the most depraved look at Hollywood ever in the full 30 minutes. He did not lie. It's really good. I mean, it sounds weird to say, but like the energy. Here's the thing. I would just watch the first 30 minutes. I would watch the crap out of that. But yeah, generally, I liked the first half. Second half, I thought got away a little bit. Got a little bit slower. But yeah, I will say that 55% on Rotten Tomatoes, I feel is pretty accurate, at least in my experience. How half of it I really loved, half of it I thought was okay. But I will talk more about that in my actual review for it, because I want to talk more in depth about the things I liked and didn't like, and some of the other components like the music. That was an elephant. I said elephant. There's an elephant in the movie. I meant to say element, whatever. That was an element that I really liked. Okay, so going on to the next section. This is actually my biggest section, but I'll probably talk about these a little bit less on each. But there was like 1,000 horror movies that came out this year. It was like an incredible year for horror. And I think I already did, or even thrillers. I already did Nope, Don't Worry, Darling, X, Men, Smile. Like I did a bunch of them already. And there's still 6 I have to talk about. And that's not even including the ones I didn't see. So let's go through them real quick. Barbarian. I had heard that this movie was like the scariest movie to come out this year. And I was like, okay, well, the trailers always say that. But then I went to see it, and people were like, no, it's this is accurate. I went to see it, and they weren't wrong. It might be the scariest movie to come out this year. Now, that being said, it's sort of like Babylon, where like it feels like 2 halves. Actually, it's split up into thirds, really, like 3 different acts. The first act is some of the scariest stuff I have seen in a while. If you've ever seen like The Taking of Deborah Logan, it's a very small horror movie. There was stuff like that in it, and it was creepy. Bill Skarsgård did an amazing job. And then, actually, I don't remember because I didn't do the review, I didn't remember the actress. What her name was. Let me see. I feel like I remember her from something else. Let me look it up here. Both of them, they really carried. Georgina Campbell, they really carried this first act, especially. Just those 2. And it honestly could have been its own short film. It really could have. They could have just stopped it after the first act, and I would have been like, wow, that was amazing. But then the second part comes in, and there's a cameo, basically, from a very well-known horror actor that I think was perfect for this role and this part of the movie. I've never found jokes about tape measures so funny. There's a lot of jokes talking about measuring. Like this guy owns this house, and he's like trying to like get a lot of value for it, so he keeps measuring, and he keeps finding this tunnel. That you see in the trailer, and he's trying to measure the tunnel, and it was hilarious. However, tape measures, just for future filmmakers, tape measures don't go that long. That was incredibly long, but you know what? I'll forgive it, because this movie was great. First act was terrifying. Second act was weirdly really funny. I don't know how they could have terrifying and funny at the same time and make it work, but they sort of did. And then the third act was weird. It was really weird. They go in a kind of different style of horror, whereas the first act is more of genuinely terrifying and creepy with hints of this other type. The third act gets into the second type of like 80s horror, like cheesy body gore that's like not necessarily scary, but more so just gross or weird. So I kind of wanted some of the first part and the last part, but I definitely appreciated both that they had, especially connected by this middle part. It was definitely one of the best horror movies to come out this year. Possibly, well, I'm gonna say, I don't want to say the best, because X, and I haven't seen Pearl yet, but I've heard Pearl is phenomenal, as well as Smile. So yeah, there was a lot, but Barbarian was definitely up there. It's definitely probably one of the scariest, if not the scariest. There were parts in the beginning that I was like, this is absolutely horrifying. So Barbarian was, I would check that out if I were you. If you're like a huge horror person, definitely check that one out. I think it's on HBO Max. Okay. All right, going along with that one, The Black Phone. When I saw the trailer for this, I was like, I feel like I just saw the whole movie. It felt like it spoiled things. It didn't. It gives you most of what the movie is, but there's just more underneath, more clever twists that, while you kind of know most of the premise of the story, there's just other things that you don't get until you see it. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was great. I was really surprised. Ethan Hawke did an amazing job. Super, super scary. I actually wanted more of him in it, but he was very terrifying. And he was shooting like this and Moon Knight, I think, at the same time. And he was also cameoed in Glass Onion because he was shooting Moon Knight there. So he's just long haired Ethan Hawke for everything for the last couple of movies. But yeah, so the Black Phone was very clever. Not only in the way that they problem solved things in the script, but how it came about, like how those things happened, the types of emotional connections, even the editing to get there, like visually telling it, I thought was really well done. I really liked the main character too. He was awesome. You know, he holds his own against this terrifying, like real life Pennywise, who uses balloons to like disguise and confuse kids, and then he brings them back to his place and shoves them in the basement. Um, Absolutely terrifying. And then the sister as well. I really loved her. Her character was also just awesome. She also, like, both of these siblings. They're just used to being bullied, and they're used to having issues, especially with their dad. So they have like thick skin, and so they keep standing up to like bullies, the police officers. Even I loved both of them. But the whole movie just felt very bleak. It felt like it had like a kind of Halloween feel, like in terms of like how the neighborhood looks. It felt like it had kind of a Halloween feel, But really, I just loved it because you guys know me. I love closure and things coming back around and circling back around in a script, and that happens like in like four different ways at the end of this script, and I thought it was just awesome. It was just a great story. It's another one of these kidnapping stories, but it had something new to do with it. And I didn't really mind that there was this supernatural element to this very grounded horror, because the way it was done was like tastefully done. And anything you see that you're like, oh, that wouldn't be real, it's more so like figurative, or more so just like a visual representation of the supernatural stuff that's going on. So it was really, really good. I would also check that one out. Okay, and then another pairing that honestly I was very surprised about, and I don't think anybody remembers that these movies came out this year, but I think I watched them back to back, like one week after the other. The first one was Fresh. This was a movie with Sebastian Stan as a cannibal. Wouldn't have thought of that. And it's got Daisy Edgar Wright, who was also in Where the Crawdads Sing this year, which also I didn't get to see. I wasn't as interested in that one, but I heard that one was really good. So I might have to put that on the list. But they were both excellent. Daisy Edgar Wright is going to be like that new horror person, not even horror, but just drama and horror and thriller. She's going to be like that, one of those new people. I can just feel that coming for her. And Sebastian Stan was, I don't think I've ever, hold on. I don't think I've ever seen him in anything where he wasn't the Winter Soldier. So it's nice to see him in something a little bit different. And not only was he like much creepier because he's a cannibal who kidnaps people. Not only that, but we also saw like this sort of how do I put this? I don't want to say tasteful side, because not only is that inaccurate, it's also an incredibly poorly timed pun. But it's more of like the less gruff Winter Soldier side, It was cool to see him just like as a regular person. He's a very weird person, obviously. But one of the very cool things about this movie that Babylon actually does as well, and I did not think it was going to do this, the title doesn't come up till 30 minutes in. It's like an hour and 50 minutes. The title does not happen till 30 minutes in. This has done it. Babylon's done it. Pieces of a Woman did that. That's like the new thing. Have movies that are 3 hours long and have the title be 30 minutes in. So I really like that one. There's not too much to say about it because I don't want to give anything away. But the way it was done, Okay, I'm gonna say it, and I'm repeating myself, and again, it is still a pun, but I can't think of any other word. The way they did the cannibalism thing was quite literally tastefully done, because it's not just like backwoods, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we're gonna eat you, whatever. It, it's like a business thing, and not that I'm sitting here going like, ooh, let me get into the cannibal business. I'm not Army Hammer. I just think that it was an interesting take. I think it was cool that how they did this sort of new, fresh look and take on it. It was just different, and the dynamic that the two had, Sebastian Stan and Daisy Edgar Wright, and the way that she's able to get out of things or kind of get into his mind a little bit is interesting. The ending was okay. It's one of those that just kind of gets away from itself a little bit, but other than that, it was pretty entertaining, and it's very stressful. Um, Things like that, like Room and The Black Phone, are very stressful because they're just someone's locked in a room and they can't get out, no matter what they do, and that is highly and Split. That's that same one too. Um, they are just very anxiety inducing. So with that being said, I guess check it out. The other one was another streaming one, because that was streaming, I think, on Hulu. And another one that was streaming, I got to look up what it was on, but was No Exit. And when I saw the trailer, I thought I was watching one of those parody commercials, like commercials that look like it's gonna be for a movie, or not for a movie, but it looks like it's trying to be a movie, but it's for like Doritos or something. You know what I mean? Especially considering that the Allstate guy, David, I gotta look it up. He's the Allstate guy. Allstate guy. Dennis Hayward. Yeah. Dennis Hayward. He's in this. And I was like, I thought he just did commercials. No. He's in other things I've never seen. He's an actual actor, and he was really good in this. I was really surprised. But the whole thing was like a lot more clever than I thought it was going to be. It just seemed like it was going to be one of those that was like, okay, but no, actually, it was really, really good. Kind of the same thing with Fresh. They just have new takes on stuff. It's one of those where like 4 or 5 people get abandoned, stuck on the side of the road because there's a huge blizzard. They all just end up in this like sort of community area, one of those rest stop areas, and chaos ensues because you find out that a couple of them are actually hiding some secrets and they're not good people, and yeah, it's just the way it pans out. But I'm just here to say that No Exit was good. I would definitely recommend that one as well, because half of it is like the mystery, and then the other half is like the fallout of it, and that was just as entertaining because now you're like, what do we do? It just kind of keeps going and going, and then maybe some people die, maybe some people get injured, whatever. But the way that it ends, I remember it was also another one that sort of gets away. Like it's just like one too many endings. You kill someone and they come back and you kill them again. And it's one of those things. But other than that, I really, really liked it. I like the aesthetic of it being like in snow and dead of winter. They had like a character development, I guess, for the main character about addiction and like her family members and everything, but that's not like too much of it. That was more so just to give us something I think to connect with her. But yeah, so I really liked that one as well. I would definitely check those out. They're both on streaming. Let me see where No Exit is. I think Fresh was on Hulu. No Exit is going to be on Hulu. Yeah, so both of them really, really good. Now, on to the last 2 other horror movies that I have here. And I'm only laughing because one of them was pretty good and the other one was not that good. I'll start with the pretty good one. Was Hellraiser. That's the first Hellraiser movie I've actually seen. I haven't seen the original yet, but I'm interested in seeing the original now because I saw the new one, which apparently the Hellraiser franchise is not great. But the first 2 are the best. The first one's the best, and this is apparently this new one is the best since the original. And it was pretty good. It had a lot of again, actually, a lot of themes about like addiction, and everything, and and people think that she's hallucinating, even though it's the box making her do things. I just think that's really cool. I never knew who Pinhead was, but I didn't even know that the box was a thing for all of that. I thought it was just for this one, but the box is like a whole Hellraiser thing. Um, but it was pretty cool. I liked the design of Pinhead. I know how they had to use a different person for him this time, but he was really, really cool. And yeah, the fact that the box changes, and it's like this weird Rubik's cube of like changing into different things. I thought how it changed was really cool and really well done. Like that they, it forms all these new things, but it looks like all those pieces would just be there. That was pretty cool. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say just because I don't really have anything to compare it to. Uh, but I liked what they did with it. I thought it was pretty cool. You have the research part of it of what is this thing. You have obviously just like the kills and all. It was very violent, as all new horrors are beginning to do. They are just really, they're really going for it. Yeah. So Hellraiser was pretty good. I'm excited to see the original now and see what they do with it. I do remember. I think the end got a little ridiculous. I think. All I know is the last shot was like insane. It was nuts what they were showing. It was really weird looking. It was kind of cool. The last horror movie that I want to talk about after I take a drink of water because I am dying. The last horror movie I want to talk about is possibly the worst movie I saw this year. I didn't really think it at the time, but then looking back, I was like, no, that wasn't good. Because I've gotten into this habit of just like enjoying a movie and then later on being like, oh, it wasn't really that great, unless it's really bad. There were some of those, but this one, well, it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think was that, or was it like Texas Chainsaw? I don't know. I can't remember what the specific. I think it was just 2022. Not great. Texas Chainsaw. It was like the Halloween Ends of Texas Chainsaw, except controversially, I kind of liked Halloween Ends because they're doing the thing where they bring back some of the originals. Well, there's really only one original from the original Texas Chainsaw, which is one of my favorite horror movies by far. There was only one left to bring back, and she does, come back, which was cool. Except, unlike Halloween and Scream, she kind of sucked. She just was stupid. She had it was like a canned Laurie Strode from the new Halloweens where she's just like really gruff and like, I'm gonna go get him myself. Except it was like she just did like really stupid stuff just so the movie could happen. And then you have like the main characters who none of them are particularly that interesting. The main character, I think her name's Ellie Fisher from 8th grade. She's okay. But she not particularly that interesting. Then you have who's quite possibly like the most annoying character I've seen in a new movie this year. I don't even know her name, but she was just one of those people who like kind of kept adding conflict to the story just because. I don't exactly remember how. Again, this was like March or something that I saw this. I just remember she was very annoying because she was very I don't want to say PC. It was something she was just very neurotic, I guess, in the way that she did things, and she's like, well, we can't do this till we have this, and we can't, and she was I think it was like she was making problems where there didn't need to be problems, and again, just so the movie could happen. A lot of it felt very convenient and contrived, especially towards the end. There was just a lot of stupid action, a lot of stupid decisions. I will say I did think that the last shot, the last part of it was pretty interesting because they had sort of a callback to the original Texas Chainsaw, but it's not really a good thing. So that was pretty cool. I did like that. And there were some interesting kills, I guess, but the actual Leatherface in this, he was fine. He just seems old. You know, there were some cool scenes with him doing some stuff. His chainsaw thing, but yeah. The other thing was, if you've heard anything about Texas Chainsaw 2022, is the party bus scene, which is something to behold. A man in a person's face and a chainsaw, something you'd see at a horror like amusement, like Legends of the Fog or Field of Screams, comes onto a bus in the middle of a town. It's not even Halloween, so there's like no excuse, like they have in some movies. And everyone, and I mean everyone, immediately takes out their phones and just starts recording and live streaming them. And they're like, I'm like 99% sure this was a line that the guy said, "You better stop this or you're going to be canceled." Very good. Very good. Yes. And then guess what? You guessed it. They all die. It's so dumb. Guys, we don't need phones to be in everything. Like, yes, I get that that's like how a lot of people react in certain situations, but that one, I'm not so sure. Maybe two stupid people would have their phones out, but I'm pretty sure everyone's going to be running from the guy who just brought a chainsaw onto the bus. That's just me. Now, I will say this about that scene. Visually, it was pretty cool. I had that like the neon, like blue and purple lights, and it was very chaotic, and it was shot well. It was just stupid, like most of this movie. I really, really want. I watched it with my aunt. We're big horror fans, and she loves slashers. And she was actually the first one to show me Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and we watched it together. And I just wanted it to be better, I just thought, but no, everyone makes stupid decisions. So, wouldn't really recommend that one. But you know what? If you've watched all the other horror movies, all of them in the world, I guess that's a good one to go with. All right, so that takes care of most of the sections. Really, I only have one more, and then I can go on to my channel updates. This is a little bit different. It's not movies, actually. So I've been doing movie reviews and TV show reviews. And, if I thought that there were a lot of movies, there are just an absolute shit ton of TV shows. And boy, they take a while to watch. As you know, I did a review for every single Disney Plus Marvel show last year, and didn't do a single one for this year. Now, there were only 3, plus a couple specials and stuff. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do a whole thing at the end of the year where I talk about them all at once, because it's hard. Because I had that. We had House of Dragon. We had Rings of Power, which I didn't even see yet. So I'm going to do a review for that next year. There was just so many things I wanted to see. Only Murders. I think Yellow Jackets at the beginning of the year. Stranger Things. So we had a ton of TV shows. And that's only barely scratching the surface of what I even wanted to watch, much less what's out there. So it was getting kind of hard, especially when Disney Plus is just shitting out content just to have it. That's neither here nor there. So I'm going to talk about a few of them that I saw, which was pretty much most of the Marvel ones, and then like a Star Wars and something else. So let's start with Obi-Wan, just because that's the only one of the Star Wars that I actually saw. Because I think I've talked about The Mandalorian. No, I don't think I've talked about The Mandalorian. I liked The Mandalorian. I really liked it. I'm excited for season 3, like really excited. I didn't see Boba Fett. I didn't see Andor. I didn't see Andor. Although I heard that it's actually way better than people were expecting. I thought it was going to be the most boring thing. Why would you make a TV show out of that guy? But apparently it's really good, so I'll check it out. But I didn't see Boba Fett. Did Ahsoka come out? I don't even know anymore. I don't even know, man. But I did see The Mandalorian. Absolutely loved that. I just love how it's just a side quest. It ties in here and there, but I do like how it's just sort of side things. It's just fun. I want to explore the Star Wars universe. I don't need the Skywalkers for the 86th time, which I think is about where most people are at the moment. But yeah, so Obi-Wan. I really liked it. Yeah, I when it comes to like the main trilogy adjacent stuff, I keep being like, do we need more of it? This one I'm okay with because Ewan McGregor, God love him, and the fact that he's still playing Obi-Wan is awesome. And so that was very, very cool. I thought he did a great job. You know, being it's that guy who's like he's rusty, you know, and he hasn't he has to be a recluse basically, but he's still watching over Luke. And I anything that he does, I just freaking love it. And so it is much cooler too when he like actually gets a lightsaber or puts on his regular clothes. I guess he's wearing about the same clothes, but you know what I mean. When he really gets into battle and starts the fighting, because then it's like, whoa, it's like he's not just automatically good. He's got to work for this again. And he did a really good job at that, at portraying the serious anxiety and like he was not mentally or physically ready for what was about to happen in this show. He did a really good job of playing that, like, he used to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, and now he's faded a bit because he had to hide out. So I really liked him in that role. And then there's just this theme of underrated things that when they came out, everyone was like, this is terrible. And then whether it was because they're compared to things that came out after them that were worse, or just because of nostalgia or time passing or whatever, everybody hails them as like the best thing. They're like unironically, we love it now. One of those things is Spider-Man 3. The other of those things is Revenge of the Sith / Anakin Skywalker. It doesn't make Hayden Christensen's acting any better in the original movie, the prequels, but the fact that he came back for this was awesome. It was very cool. And it is a little weird being like, oh, there's still prequel things. I mean, he's older, but it doesn't really. It's not really that big of a deal. I thought it was just so cool. Honestly, this is the Darth Vader I've wanted. Now, yes, we did get a little bit of it in Rogue One, so that was great. This Darth Vader, this version of Darth Vader made me actually have some respect for the evil that is Darth Vader, because everyone's always like, he's one of the most iconic villains, the best villains. I'm like, it's fine. Maybe it was fine 50 years ago when it came out and there was like something newer, but I don't know. I thought he was okay. Personally, if we're talking like outfit-wise, Kylo Ren with the hood. Only with the hood, though. Otherwise, it looks like he's got a stupid haircut. But with the hood, it's pretty cool. But those fight scenes between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan were just way more emotional than I expected. I had more emotion and connection than I expected to ever have with Hayden Christensen Darth Vader. But he was evil. Man, he did some violent stuff. And it's just it's not graphic necessarily, but it's just a lot more in your face about that stuff than it used to be. It does make going back to the original trilogy when he's like it's kind of lame now, but maybe he's just old. But the not only did it visually just look incredible, especially the final battle with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, but emotionally, the conversations they have. I mean, it's everybody who watched Revenge of the Sith and absolutely loves that final battle. It was like that. This is for you. It was. Oh God, it was so good. And then Leia did not expect a little Leia in there, and I freaking loved this actress. This little girl. She was awesome. I think the Star Wars universe is just going to keep banking on the success of having a father figure carrying around a small child. And I'm okay with it because they're all adorable. I loved her. I loved their parent daughter-ish kind of thing. Him having to take care of her, him having a purpose in life again. It was awesome. And just more exploring of the Star Wars universe. Kumail Nanjiani is in it, and he's very funny. He's got kind of a stupid yet serious, like he'll take things seriously, sort of con artist type thing going on. But yeah, it's only 6 episodes. It goes so fast, what's her name? There's this character. Her name is Riva. Let me see who plays her. In Obi-Wan. Let's see. She was also in the Queen's Gambit. I really, really liked her. She is played by, thanks Google, Moses Ingram. Firstly, there were like apparently a lot of people who were like pissed that she was in this, and I don't really understand why. Oh, she was a great character. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I really liked her. I don't know what it was about her acting. She just commanded the screen. I really liked her, I mean, the character I didn't love 24/7, but her playing that, I thought she did a great job. I don't know. There's just something about it. But yeah, the fact that people were like, oh, they're just adding diversity into the... Shut up. I'm not going to get into this now, but anyway, so Obi-Wan was really awesome. Loved it. It's pretty much what we wanted. And I hope that they just, I don't know. I hope them and Marvel just back up a bit. I know that Marvel's doing that with Phase 5. They're kind of reevaluating some things, which is good. So I hope they do that with Star Wars as well, because I would love some of the side quest stuff. I would, and Obi-Wan was fine because it did definitely connect, but it was like, well, it was about time we got some love for that, and Hayden Christensen coming back and all of them. Yeah, so I hope they kind of start to reevaluate this, because I would just love to explore the Star Wars universe, and especially with The Mandalorian, because it's just so quiet and it's like a Western. And you just kind of go from place to place, and you know what? I would watch that for seasons. So really liked it. On to Marvel, which is the rest of it. Moon Knight. I was really excited for Moon Knight. Moon Knight looked awesome. I didn't know about the character before this, but he looked so cool. The outfit was awesome, even the one with like just the tuxedo and everything. I thought it was okay. It didn't grab me too much, but I liked it. I liked the whole they're in Egypt thing. I thought the thing with like the major gods, I wanted it to be a little bit more overwhelmed. I don't know. They seemed a little cartoonish to me, which I think is happening to Marvel a little bit in this phase. It seemed a little bit more cartoonish than it did serious. But that wasn't too bad. Really, it's just that it was just fine. It was okay. Honestly, there's the two personalities inside of Moon Knight, and it's Mark and Steven. Steven is the British one, and boy, he started to get on my nerves. I just didn't... He was okay. I mean, I'll say this, though. Oscar Isaac is obviously both of these people, and the fact that I can even be like, man, I didn't really like Steven, but Mark was great. If anybody who can play stuff like that, like Rory Kinnear in Men, James McAvoy in Split and Glass, if you can play two entirely or three or 26 entirely different characters, and I can believe both of them as if they were different people, well done. Just your good job. I love you forever because you're a good actor. Good job. So Oscar Isaac was amazing. Steven, I just didn't totally love. Mark was cool. Steven was fine at the beginning. He just kind of got annoying towards the end. But the whole thing with like the actual turning into Moon Knight and all that was pretty cool. For the little bit of time we got with Moon Knight, we mostly just get Steven and Mark, which just kind of sucks. We don't really get a whole lot of Moon Knight doing what he does. He does it a little bit, but I wanted more, And they said that there was going to be a very disconnected project and it wasn't going to go into anything in the future. But from what I've heard, he's going to be in Kang Dynasty. So who knows? I think that would just be very, very cool if we could get some more of that. And it will be really cool to see, as far as I know, it will be really cool to see like all of these Phase 4 new characters that we've seen in the TV shows translate to the big screen. That is one thing I'm really excited for, and how they mesh with all the other Avengers and Guardians and everybody. But Moon Knight, I honestly, 5th episode, I thought was brilliant. I really, really liked it a lot. It dealt with a lot of really tough topics very well. And it was one of those that it's sort of a halt in the actual narrative. So I was like, no, I want to get back to the action. But no, it was hands down the best one. It was very existential, very you didn't really know what was real for a bit. And it's just so cool. Hands down the best out of the 6 episodes. But yeah, so yeah, it was okay. There was the whole scene of them turning back the sky, which was awesome, except like, how does nobody notice this? The heck? Unless it's just for them. Although I think it showed other people noticing it as well. I don't know. Nobody seems to question this or have a problem with it. If the sky turned back right now, I'd be like, I guess, sure, whatever. But yeah, then there was one thing that happens right at the end that is not my favorite and seemed kind of stupid and really just opened up more questions I thought I had answered, but no, they were just more questions. It is a little confusing. Some of the rules aren't quite there, but whatever. Then we got Ms. Marvel, which I'm going to be completely real with you guys. I didn't finish. I wanted to. I'm on the 3rd episode. I just never got to. And I don't know if I will. No, I will. It's funny because I vowed to finish it before this. I just didn't get to because there were so many other things and Christmas and all. But a lot of people stopped after the 2nd episode because they thought it was kind of boring. I didn't necessarily think it was boring. I thought it was fine. In fact, I actually think it's maybe the most interesting of the 3 that we've gotten this year. The colors especially are just vivid. It's just so awesome. But yeah, I don't know. It's okay. Yeah. I do, from what I've seen so far, like the characters. I love all the characters. I love the culture. I love the powers that she has. Maybe I do like this more than I thought I did. I'm gonna finish it. I know that there is like a little thing at the end about like, ooh, X-Men maybe. I thought that was gonna come up in the 3rd episode, and it did not. It's just the Jin. So sad. But I know we're getting there. So I will finish that one. But you know what? I actually think I do like this more than I thought I did. I do. Visually, it's just awesome. So much color and so much power. There's so many things that she can do, which was really, really, really cool. And then She-Hulk. Let me just think on this one for a second. I have no idea whether I really liked this show or not. Because as I'm watching it each week, I'm starting out going, this is pretty good. All right, that one was okay. It's getting a little weird. Oh, it's just kind of a slice of life. It's just more of like a episode of the week. No, it ties into a bigger thing. What is this show? I don't know what this show is. What is this show? I don't know if you guys have seen the pitch meeting guy on YouTube, but he pretty much explains it pretty perfectly. Go watch that episode, that video that he does on the She-Hulk one, because it's sometimes one thing that's like bigger, more connected to the MCU. Sometimes it's just like regular episodes that have to really do with almost nothing except her character. It's a very character-based show, which is fine. It's just like they just didn't know what they really wanted to do with it. Like the entire show, they kept flip-flopping back and forth every episode. It was really weird. They'd have cameos from people, but then it would just be like, I'm just gonna go dating. I wasn't really sure what the aim of this show even was, what the goal was here. I'm not exactly sure they did either. I will say this. Aside from the fact that it's wildly inconsistent pacing-wise and tonally and everything, and they don't really know what they're doing with it, it is fun. It's funny. And I would have just been okay if it had just been a one-off, spin-off show of just She-Hulk doing superhero law, because I will say that was a pretty big positive. I never ever thought about there having to be a specific superhero division for law, but it like kind of makes sense. And that was I'm not really a courtroom drama person, but like that was kind of fun to watch. So I would have very much liked just that, which mostly is what it was. But I don't know, it was very uneven. They just didn't really know what to do with it for some of the time. And even the fact that like how she becomes She-Hulk, it just seems very like how was this never happened before? And then Bruce, what have they done to the Hulk, man? I liked old Hulk. He was scary and fun. Now he dabs and wears glasses. He was funny for a time. Let's go back to old Hulk. Because I tell you what, I won't say what it is, but he reveals something at the very end of the last episode, and I was just like, where is this going? What is this? What is happening? I don't need 12 side spin-offs from the spin-offs of Hulk. I just want Hulk. I don't know what's going on. The show was fun. Madison was fun. A lot of the characters were fun. It was just weird. Even Tim Roth was Abomination. I was super excited, and then he's a very different character. And it was fine, but then I was like, why did you bring it? It just, again, I don't know what this show was about. I don't know what we were trying to do here. It was really odd. It was a little Phase 4-ish in terms of it being like answering very basic real life questions about superheroes. But, aside from that, I no clue. Apparently, I should also weigh in on the twerking situation. I don't care. Especially considering it was a post-credit scene. We've had stupider post-credit scenes. Is She-Hulk twerking with Megan Thee Stallion the thing I went to the show to see? No. I frankly don't give a crap about She-Hulk twerking. But I also don't care that other people are angry about it, because I'm like, why? It's just a stupid little thing. The CGI. I know that the Marvel crew of CGI artists left, a lot of them, so that's why it's so abhorrently bad. The She-Hulk CGI is the second worst I've seen in Marvel, and I'll tell you the first one in a minute. It was pretty bad. So I understand, because the people had to leave, because they weren't being treated fairly. So go go get it. It just sucks for the show, though. I mean, it's not like I can still watch the show, but it's not good. Now on to the first worst CGI I have seen out of Marvel that I can remember. Weirdly enough, it is an I Am Groot, which was a 6-episode or 7-episode little miniseries that were 3 minutes each. And they were adorable and fun. And I just sat down and watched them in 15 minutes, and it was a good time until I got to the one with Rocket in it. And by God, it looked like when you watch a behind the scenes of how they're doing the visuals and something, but it's not finished. It's just the first stage of it, and then they're going to put stuff over top. But that was it. That was what they did in the show. Rocket looked like this weird unfinished CG visual. It was creepy. The way he moved and everything, wow. I was a little shocked. I'm not gonna lie. I rewound it to watch it again and just to confirm that I wasn't missing something. And yeah. Wait, Patrick, what are you agreeing to? The CGI or the twerking thing? Probably the CGI. We'll get back to you on that one. But I Am Groot, other than that, was fine. I know Groot's turning into like, a bigger, different version of himself than we saw before. He's a little bit more of like gym rat, I think, from what we've seen, which I'll talk about in a second. We want old Hawk back. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was funny for Endgame, I guess. There was a lot of other stuff going on anyway that it wasn't really a problem. But I would very much like old Hawk back. Thank you, please and thank you. I'll take one old Hawk, please. Um, yeah. So yeah, but I Am Groot was very fun. Lots of fun little things. Of course, I mean it's like Marcel the Shell I was talking about. It's just you get a small guy doing small guy things, and everyone's gonna be like, "This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life." It's just YouTube. But yeah, besides that, so they thank God the CGI for Rocket was better in the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which was the other thing that I saw. I really liked it. It was odd. It was very weird, and it's one of those things that I was talking about, like the Santa Clauses, where it's like, um, when you get like a special of something that's already there, but it's a Christmas special, uh, it's just gonna be different because they're gonna have like more Christmassy lines, more heartfelt things. People are gonna just act more fun and emotional just because it's a Christmas thing. They might not act like that normally in the other movies. It just feels a little bit different because it's just supposed to be heartwarming and cheesy. But it works in this one, and they're still very funny. The Guardians, I was worried that they're going to get a little stale, but I'm really excited for Guardians 3. And this, I thought, was just a great little side thing for them to do. Not only to have some meaningfulness to a one-off joke from the first Guardians of the Galaxy that became a whole bit, culminating in the kidnapping of one Kevin Bacon. But it was hilarious. It furthered some of the characters that we don't really get to see as much, like Drax and Mantis. There were some actually big reveals, like big spoiler alerts, weirdly enough. And it was just beautiful. It was Christmas. It'd blow up things on the lawn, big trees, incredibly colorful lights, and snow everywhere. It was really, really well done. Definitely puts you in the spirit. And it poked fun at actors as well, which was very funny. It was just good. I would highly recommend it. It sucks because I saw that one, but for the Halloween thing, I still haven't seen Werewolf by Night, which I do want to see and then just give my brief thoughts on, because for most people, I've heard that it's the most unique thing that Marvel's done, and that it's really cool, and they would want to see another one. And then it was very different. There were one or two people that said that they didn't really care for it, but most of the people are in agreement that it was good and very unique. Yeah, so let me see. I think that was all the Disney Plus stuff that I'd seen. This is the problem with live stream, is I can't edit out a stupid sneeze. Okay, yeah, that was all my Disney Plus stuff. So, this was all the stuff that I had seen that I didn't get to review. Of the other things that I still have to see, let's take a look-see. I'm going to see The Whale, and that's going to be one of the other ones I review in January. I've seen X, now I have to see Pearl. I've heard all about this monologue, so I have to see the monologue. I was going to try to get Lightyear in before today, but I didn't. I still want to see it. The Banshees of Inisherin. I keep hearing about that one. I haven't seen In Bruges yet. We were actually going to watch it, my family and I, and then we decided on something else. But I want to see In Bruges, and then I want to see The Banshees of Inisherin, because I've heard that Colin Farrell is really great in it once more, even though it's not really a sequel. It's just the same two actors doing sort of the same thing as far as I know. I won't be watching Pinocchio, like the Disney one, at least not immediately. But I probably want to see Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which I've heard is very good. Plus, it's got my guy, Alexander Desplat, scoring it. So, by the way, the music this year in movies and TV shows is like unfairly good. Just I still need to see Tar. I'm not super intrigued or interested in it, but I've heard it's very, very good, and it just looks like Oscar bait, so I need to see it. I haven't seen the first Avatar, so I may or may not get to see The Way of Water. I feel like I need to, but then I'd have to sit down and watch the first Avatar. We'll see. The Invitation, that was probably the last true horror that I didn't get to see. It looked very cool, like a Ready or Not type situation. So I do want to see that at some point. It looked very cool, like with like vampires type thing, I think. but I'm not really sure. But it looked very gothic, so that was cool. Oh, and it's got Missandei from Game of Thrones in it. The other horror that I didn't get to see that I am interested in, but kind of forgot existed till I saw the thing for it again, was Crimes of the Future. I liked Possessor. It looked terrifying. So Cronenberg doing another one looks weird as hell, but Viggo Mortensen in a Cronenberg movie, and I think it was Kristen Stewart and someone else that I know. I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely need to see this. Weird, the Weird Al story. I was ready to sit down, watch this. I was planning on reviewing it. Then I found out it was only on Roku, and I couldn't see it. So I was a little bummed. I'm gonna try to get to that one. I'm not probably gonna get to all these before I do my end of the year ranking, but I'm gonna try to do some of them. Triangle of Sadness. This and After Sun are two that I keep hearing about, and I need to see. And they feel like they're those ones that are going to be in the Oscar running list, and I just keep hearing about them, but I had no idea what they were. But apparently, after talking with Andrew at Shine Like Stars Reviews, I need to see After Sun, and I also want to see Triangle of Sadness. A bunch of the other ones that are on here that I never got to see, but I'm not like pressed to see them. We got Emily the Criminal, Disenchanted. So the sequel to Enchanted. I'll probably watch that at some point. Prey, which was the other horror movie that did come out, which apparently was also very good. Vengeance with BJ Novak. Blonde, which I heard a lot of mixed things about, and apparently was very long and maybe not super accurate. But it was up there. 3,000 Years of Longing, which no one was talking about, but I just kept hearing about it on like commercials and stuff. And then all of a sudden a lot of people have this on their list of like favorites of the year, and I was like, what the heck? Black Adam. I'll probably see it at some point. I need to see Shazam before I see anything else. Yeah, so lots and lots and lots of movies. Which brings me to basically what is my last thing to do here, which is channel updates. So next year's gonna be not different, but a little bit different. I have to cut back. This year was phenomenal for my channel, and it's all thanks to you guys. I'm dead serious. It is all thanks to you guys, because at the beginning of the year, I had like 128 subscribers. My goal was to get to 250, and I thought that was going to be tough, but I thought it was manageable. By June, I was at 180 something, and was like, all right, you know what? I think if I get to 200, by the end of the year, I'll be happy with that. And I am currently now sitting at 366 subscribers, which is a drop in the bucket for most YouTube channels. But I am blown away by that, because I did not expect to surpass my goal of 250 in July. And that is all thanks to every single person who watched my Nope review. And again, once again, thank you to Andrew from Shine Like Stars for inviting me to see it early. I think that was part of it. And plus the fact that everyone was just excited for Nope. That 12,000 people watched that video. I would have made a better video if I had known that was going to happen. So then there was a couple others that also got a fair amount of views that I didn't expect to, like Don't Worry, Darling, and my High School Musical top 10 songs ranking. What does it say that those were my top viewed videos of the year? So that was great. So I had a very blessed year on the channel, of so many people being able to watch my stuff. Really, really cool. Here's the problem that I have found is there are just, and will forever be, absolutely way too many movies and TV shows to watch in a year. It's absolutely impossible. At least for someone who's it's a hobby and not a full-time job. I would love it to be a full-time job. That'd be great. But watching them is one thing, but then reviewing and then editing, which takes forever, sitting in front of my computer that doesn't always work, and then stressing out, ask my family, I freak. It's getting to me, because I don't know, I think a lot of you probably know this already, but I am a perfectionist. And I have learned with this channel that while I was just trying to do it as best as I could, and every movie that I wanted to see to try to review, really it was just becoming more about completing the list rather than actually enjoying the movies, going to see the movies and enjoying the reviews. It was more of me going from one movie to the next and just going to see the movie and trying to squeeze it in when I could, just to then review it to get to the next one. And it was becoming less of me actually enjoying and being excited about seeing movies and going to see a movie without the pressure of, am I going to be able to get this review out in time? Because again, it is a hobby for me right now, or at least it should be. It's a weird hobby because it's like, unless you're not doing new movie reviews, any other time you could just go at your own pace. But if you're doing new movie reviews, they're coming out 24/7, and it takes a while to watch things, to edit things. It is very impossible to watch most of the things you're going to want to watch, unless it's your job. So, with that being said, I'm gonna make a few changes for next year. I'm gonna start small, see where I am with that. Basically, I'm gonna do a maximum of 3 videos a month, because I think the problem is not only is it just a lot in general, but now I have a full-time job, which I dove into and was like, oh, I'll be fine, and then it's 9:30 on a Friday, and I am exhausted. I hate being an adult. The point is I'm going to be doing 3 videos max each month. Now there might be some months where there'll be like 4, but they'll be planned in advance, because like I think, especially next year, there are some months where there's not a whole lot that I'm actually that interested in. And then there's some months where there's like 4, like 1 each week. So what I'll probably do is I pretty much have my most anticipated list plus a few extras. And I think I have like a couple, like 1 or 2 each month. Some of them have 3 or 4, so that's fine. But then there are some months where there's really, I'm picking highlight. I want to do not every movie I can find. I want to do the movies I'm excited about and do those reviews well. And it sucks because like this year I was like, man, not only am I doing all the big ones that everyone wants to talk about, but I'm also doing some smaller ones like Fall or Bodies, that maybe not as many people had seen anything about and maybe want to go see it. But I realized I can still tell people to go see it over Instagram or something. I don't have to do an entire review to tell people that. The reviews should be for the ones I'm really excited about, really passionate about, or really hate. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing less new movies. Definitely a lot of new movies. Don't get me wrong. There are at least 15 or 20 movies that I want to see and review next year. I probably won't get through all of them, but that's where the live stream also comes in at the end of the year, is that I can do this each year and talk about them, all of them at once that I didn't actually get to talk about. But in place of all these other ones, when I'm not doing new movies, I want to, or TV shows, because again, there's going to be those as well. There's a bunch of them coming up this year that are coming back. Like I think The Mandalorian's coming back this year, so stuff like that. In place of some of those other ones, then I be focusing more on some of these other ones that I've been wanting to do, like more in defense ofs. We will be getting an in defense of The Walking Dead this year. Yes, we are doing that. Be prepared, okay? And then more rankings. I'm going to probably do a lot of rankings on my Instagram, to be honest with you, because those are just so easy. I could just take, like a 7 or 10 day period and just, here's the next rank, because I have so many that I want to do, but here's the next ranking, and it'll just be like every day is just, 10, 9, 8, 7, and it's just something to look at, something to follow, because I want to do more of those. I want to do more questions, more polls, stuff like that. The end of the year just got really crazy, as it always does. But I definitely want to utilize Instagram more, especially for those. But I also have like old movies I want to talk about. I realized that this year I did almost entirely new movies. In the last couple of years, obviously we had COVID, but I was able to do a lot more of the older movies that I wanted to talk about as well. like I was doing old Oscar movies and stuff like that. There are a ton of movies that I want to talk about. And whether or not they're just in a list thing or they're their own review, like La La Land. I've done a review for Whiplash. I'll be doing a review for Babylon. That just leaves La La Land, which is possibly my favorite of the three. So just things like that, or even older movies, or TV shows, whatever it might be. I just have a lot that I want to do, and having a movie or two come out every single week that I'd be reviewing, it makes it impossible. So I want to focus on the stuff that I'm really excited to review or talk about. Plus some think pieces. I did that one think piece on Mike Flanagan, and I want to do some more of those here and there. Like one idea, like one I want to talk about deleted scenes, or and their purpose, or animation. Is it a genre or a medium? That's something I've always thought about, and I want to have some people on to talk about that. So I think I'm just going to be doing a little bit more, not variety, but just getting back to some of the stuff I was doing, cutting back on videos just in general a little bit, only having about 3 a month, because not only do I have a full-time job, but I realized I've not left myself time to write, and that's right, and also edit other projects and other people's commissioned projects that they're giving me. I just don't have time, so I need to leave myself time for that, and to be a person, and maybe sleep. We'll see. But I need to leave myself some time for that. So I'm going to be cutting back just a little bit, and I'm also going to, in addition to that, try to make each video roughly 7 to 9 minutes or 6 to 8 minutes. That's going to be a little harder, because I even just did my Amsterdam review, if you saw that today, and my God, I flew through that thing in my brain, and it was still 7 minutes long. So I'm going to try to be a little bit more straight to the point on some of my points, not go through every single elaborate thing. If people want to ask me more about a movie, they can, but be more straight to the point about some stuff, still having funny bits and sounds, but more to the point. So I can make these not 13, 14-minute videos, but 7, 8-minute videos, and then maybe I can do a few more, and then they're not just dragging on, as I've talked for an hour and a half. So that's like the main thing. Now, in terms of what I'm actually going to be putting out, so I've talked about some of the other stuff already. January, we're obviously still going to have the Subby Awards, which I got to be honest with you, I've been starting to do the nominations and just to get them together as I've been watching stuff. And this year's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard to get those together. But yeah, we're going to have that coming up. One really fun thing I do want to do, and especially now that I've seen that you guys apparently really like when I talk about High School Musical, I want to do a watch through of those three, because my brother and I watch them every year because they're just very funny to, meme at. Plus the music's awesome. So I want to do a watch through, because I also have some theories on things about High School Musical. One in particular about High School Musical 2 that I think will shed some new light on Sharpay. So I want to do that. Geek Week, Geek Week, I had this great idea about Geek Week, and I still love it, but man, I just can't do 5 videos in a row. I don't know where I was getting that. So I'm gonna, maybe I'll just make like May Geek Month. I don't know, because I for part of it, I still want to do. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out then, so that's already going to be on there. I'll probably do another Music in the Middle. I want to do more Music in the Middles too, but then I have 1 or 2 other things that I'm deciding between. We'll maybe get there. But I don't know. I think what I'm going to do, to be honest with you, is I'm going to put a couple questions, just polling you guys on Instagram, and just seeing what you want. There's obviously a lot of stuff that I want to do, but I have years and years to do it. I want to see what you guys want. If you guys watch more so of the new stuff, the new video, the movies, old movies. I can also tell by the numbers too, but if you like more of the other things like the Indefensives or the Music in the Middle, TV Corner, whatever it might be, I want to see what you guys think as well. So look out for that. I'll probably be putting that out like tomorrow or Sunday. I'm just curious to see what you guys think, and how much watch time you guys usually have and everything on the stuff, because It's like anybody. I mean, it's like me watching YouTube. It's like you just click in and you're like, okay, that's good, and you click off. So I want to see what is getting people to stick around. And just hear it from you guys. And just if you guys have any ideas or of anything coming out this year that you specifically want me to look out for, definitely let me know. I did mention the TV corner. This is one last thing. Along with that, I'm going to try to streamline some things next year. I am looking into getting not a new logo necessarily, but a new title card thing, because I made that in Word. And that has lasted me a long time. And then I made the video. People are like, "Oh, what'd you animate that on?" I didn't. I just did it in Premiere, and I just, So I've tricked you all for 3 years, but no, I wanna try to get a cooler looking logo, and then also just kind of streamline some things, because right now I have music in the middle, I have movie in the middle, and all the special things are Halloween in the middle and Christmas in the middle, and then I have the TV corner, which has always bothered me because I love that phrase. I like the TV corner. It just feels like more like you're just watching TV and in a corner. But it's always bothered me that I never called it series in the middle. The only problem with it is, like, if I'm reviewing something, it's not always a series, it's like a season. So that if you guys have any ideas for that, I'll put that in the poll as well. If I do like an in the middle for TV, maybe I just call it TV in the middle. I'm gonna see what you guys think about that as well. So I think those were all of my updates. Let me check here, because I had a few, but they were mostly about the same things. It's just how I was going to be doing stuff next year. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I got a lot of fun stuff looking forward to doing this year. I'm just more excited now that I'm trying to accept the idea that I can't do every video that I want to put out in a year. I can't do every single movie and TV show that comes out. At least not while I am a 350 some subscriber YouTube person who's doing it part-time, not as their full-time job, getting paid for it. That would be a different scenario. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think. I will put the timestamp down here for when I started talking about this stuff, in case you just want to listen to this, and then I'll put chapters and everything for each movie that I talked about as well. But I have one other thing that I need to do, and that's answer a few questions that you guys submitted to me. Let's go. There were only a few, because I only asked today, but let's see what they are. I saw there were 3 of them. All right. I gotta pull it up here. My phone is like slow as crap. Okay. Oh, Jesus. All right. What are your top 5 Nolan films and top 5 Tarantino films? All right, I'll start with Tarantino because that's way easier. Because I haven't seen Kill Bill Volume 1 or 2 or Jackie Brown. I think I've seen the rest. I haven't seen Death Proof. Okay, so he's made 9 movies? So I've seen 5. I've seen 5. So it's probably going to be those 5. But if I'm ranking them, let's see. So it was Django, Reservoir Dogs, Hateful Eight, Inglourious Bastards. Oh my God, what's the other one? Oh my God, Inglourious Bastards, Pulp Fiction. Okay. Hands down, my favorite is no. He must have made 10. I'm so confused. Because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I have seen 6. Oh man. All right. Well, without a doubt, my favorite is Django Unchained. As number 1. Below that would probably be Inglourious Bastards. Then after that would be this is off the top of my head. After that would probably be Hateful Eight for the aesthetic. Number 4 is probably going to be Reservoir Dogs. Number 5, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 6, Pulp Fiction. This is just off the top of my head. But I like parts of all of them. But Django Unchained is for sure my favorite. But yeah, so I guess Pulp Fiction just didn't really grab. I watched it years and years ago. It just didn't really grab me. I like parts of it. It was also one of the first Tarantinos I'd ever seen, so that does make a difference. But Django for sure. Hateful Eight in there. Inglourious Bastards, Reservoir Dogs, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I've come to like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood more the second time and the third time around, specifically the trailer scene. But yeah, I think those would be my top 5. And then in terms of Nolan, all right, let's see. So I think I've seen everything that he's done except for Insomnia. Yeah. All right. So what has he got? He's got Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises. He's got Tenet. He's got Dunkirk, Interstellar, Prestige, and Memento and Inception. Okay. All right. So definitely Dark Knight, Inception, The Prestige. Have you guys seen Regular Show? Remind me of that. Dark Knight, Interstellar, Inception, Prestige, Memento, and the fifth one would probably have to be. I want to say Interstellar for the visuals, but I don't connect with that one as much. I may have to go with Batman Begins. So it's probably at number 5 would probably be Batman Begins. Number 4 would be what did I say? Number 4 would be Memento. Number 3 would be the Prestige. Number 2, Inception. Number 1, The Dark Knight. Of course, I'm discounting Tenet, but I think that's okay. If you've seen my review for that. Okay, the second question, fittingly enough, is you have to watch Tenet or Amsterdam for the rest of your life. Which is it? Oh my god. I don't know. This is a painful one. Because Tenet is. They're both kind of the same in that they're kind of incoherent to me. Tenet way more so than Amsterdam, but Amsterdam was just slow and boring. It had cool visuals. I liked a lot more of the actors. Tenet has a much more interesting premise that if I kept having to watch it, I might understand what's going on more and be like, wow, that's really cool. But I also was more confused by the basic dialogue of that movie. And Amsterdam also didn't have like audio problems. Oh, all right. What do you mean by the rest of my life? Do you mean like once a year? Do you mean like every day? Because let's say it's like a once a month thing, it's just a consistent thing. I'd probably have to go with. Jeez, I don't know. I want to say Tenet because the concept, and I could probably find something cool in it each time. And Amsterdam has a more interesting cast, and it's a little easy. It's much easier to watch. I think I'm going to go with Amsterdam. It feels like less work. It's so much a very hard question, and I just didn't like answering that at all. So thank you very much, Patrick. That was my brother. So I can tell you, I can say that I hated that question and not catch any flack for it. All right, and the last question, unless there's another one in here, which I'll check. But the last question comes from Andrew at Shine Like Stars podcast, and very fitting. Favorite Al Pacino movie? Well, as much as I know that you would like me to announce that the revered Jack and Jill with the iconic Dunkin' Donuts commercial would be my favorite. I'm gonna have to politely decline and say The Godfather. I'm very sorry that I'm gonna choose The Godfather over Jack and Jill, but I got to do what my heart says. To be honest with you, I've only seen Al Pacino in like a handful of movies. Godfather, Godfather Part Two. I haven't seen Jack and Jill. I have not seen Heat, but I have seen the scene from Heat. Which, if you've seen Heat, God, this is a hard sentence to say. You know which one I'm talking about. You know, I've seen The Irishman, which I did not care for. And then although he was great in it, everybody was great in it. And then I've seen him in his little bit of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And by far and away, favorite is The Godfather. Not even Part Two, just The Godfather. I think it's way more interesting to see his development from nice little Michael into the new Don, rather than just him being mean the whole time. I just didn't really think Godfather 2 was that interesting, to be honest with you. All the stuff with Robert De Niro was incredible. Everything else was just like court cases, and I was like, whatever. So Godfather, to answer your question. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions or anything you want to know about my life, my dreams, my goals, my eating habits, I don't know. You guys, people are weird. Whatever you want to know, you can always ask me on my Instagram or on Facebook, or just whatever. Shoot me a message. I am sure I will give a satisfactory answer. But yeah, thanks for everybody who sat here and watched this, for all the questions and everything. I hope you guys are excited for the next year of Movie in the Middle stuff. If you have ideas, I'm going to be putting those polls on there. If you have ideas, please let me know, because I really want to take those into account, because I'm doing this for me, obviously, because I want to do this. It's fun, but I'm more objectively doing this for the audience who wants to see it. So let me know, and I'm sure I will have many more interesting thoughts to come from things like Lightyear in the next year. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming out, and I'm really excited. So have a happy New Year, and have a really fun New Year's Eve. Please stay safe. If you live in Maryland, I know at least the MDOT is apparently doing this Lyft code thing. You can look it up, that you get $20 free because they do not want people driving. Please stay safe. We need to. Here's the thing. Let's make our goal to stay safe, so that we can get to the point in time at the end of eternity when Marvel finally puts the X-Men into the MCU. Let's make that our collective goal. Yeah, so have a great New Year's Eve and a great New Year's Day, guys. I will be back with my most anticipated of 2023. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. I'll see you guys next year. Whatever, just